First was A. What comes next? Bop, 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 bop. C.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike.
B comes next.
B's
I'm
next. Okay.
B is next.
Sorry, we're doing the alphabet series.
So many
and
B games.
I'm already getting lost. So we are in the middle of doing a series of top 10s going letter by letter. What are our favorite games starting with A? Now we are in the B's.
Yes.
We are going to give you 10 games that are our favorites that start with the letter B here. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
One thing, people have been doing this from home along with us. So give us your list. What are some of your favorite games that start with the letter B? We'd love to see those. In the meantime, I think we should just hop right in. Let's do it.
Number 10 is a game that we always say has no right to be as fun as it is, and it's Bag of Chips. I freaking love Bag of Chips. Bag of Chips is a game that comes in a little bag, like a bag of chips. It's actually in a little bag. It's amazing. And this is a push your luck game where you are going to have some scoring cards which have certain scoring parameters on them. Like you're going to have, like there's going to be more teriyaki chips than barbecue chips, something like that. And you are then, whoever's drawing out of the bag is going to be drawing these chips out of them and putting them onto these cards in the middle. And in the first round, they're going to draw like 4 chips, then I think 4 chips, then 3, then 2, then 1, or something like that. And you'll draw out the 4 chips, you see, okay, we got like 2 potato chips, a teriyaki chip, and a barbecue chip. Okay, and then after that round, you're gonna discard, I think, 2 of your scoring cards. You're gonna discard some of your scoring cards throughout the game. And you go, you know what, this one's not gonna happen. I'm gonna get rid of it because the card that you have at the end of the game can give you negative points. So you don't want something to score at the end of the game if it's going to be bad for you, essentially. So you can go like, this is not going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. And then you pull out some more chips, and then you can discard more cards. You pull out more chips, you discard more cards. And then at the end of the round, you're going to choose 2 cards to keep that you're going to score, and then 1 card that you're going to keep that's going to score negatively against you if it happens. So it's one of the things, if I had at the end of the game, that one of my negative, the teriyaki barbecue, and it turned out to be true, I would lose those points. And then at the end of the round, whoever has the most points wins that round. You're trying to win like 3 rounds. But the fun thing is about this game is the scoring cards are wildly diverse in terms of their scoring. There are some that are worth like 5 points and some that are worth like 250 points. That's the wide range because there are a lot more of certain kinds of chips than other kinds of chips, like chicken chips and potato chips. There's way more potato chips. So the scoring thing that says you'll have more potato chips and chicken chips is almost guaranteed to happen. So that's worth like 5 points. But the scoring card that says you'll have more chicken chips than potato chips is super unlikely. So it's worth like 250 points. And so it's just this great push your luck game. You can bring it with you anywhere, play it anywhere. It's so much fun. I love Bag of Chips.
Number 9 on the B list is Blue Lagoon. This is a Reiner Knizia game. Very simple, as a lot of Reiner Knizia games are, where you're going to be placing out your tiles of your kind of tribe as you, in the first round, I'll say, are first discovering a bunch of islands in the kind of Polynesia area. At least that seems to be the kind of setting that they're invoking here. So you are placing out tiles, and when you first come in, you're on the water, you're really quick. So you can go any water space to any water space because you're just ripping around on your sailboats. And then you can go on to land and place tiles, and then you have to kind of go space to adjacent space to adjacent space. What you're trying to do with your tile placement is you're trying to create chains of, basically you want to get presence on each island that you can. You want to have a majority of presence on those islands. You want to pick up resources that are on those islands, and if you can make a chain that's unbroken that connects all those islands together, that can also gain you a lot of points. What's really fun is in that first round, you're going to be placing out, I think, 3 huts, maybe 4, during the course of that game, whenever you choose to, on land somewhere on one of the islands. And then you're going to, at the end of the first round, score everything, pull all your tiles off the board, with the exception of those huts, and then you're going to start playing again. The second round plays out almost identically. You're gathering resources, trying to get to islands and stuff, except for now, you're starting off from where your huts are instead of on the water, and no matter whether you're on land or the water, you can only move 1 space away from a previously placed token of yours. You're a little bit slower, you've settled in, you know, that's why you're starting from those huts, your kind of towns and things. And I just love the kind of breakpoint there of difference from the first round and how you move in the second round and how you kind of invest in that second round during the first round. Super duper fun stuff. Really great, really fun at 2-player because you get a ton of points. And a great Reiner Knizia, simple rules, but a lot of fun strategy to employ.
Number 8 is a big old game from Chip Theory called Burncycle. Burncycle is my favorite Chip Theory game. I really, really like this game. This game is a typical Chip Theory game where you have chips, although there's not quite as many chips as most other Chip Theory games. But this is a game where you are kind of robots leading a very mild robot uprising where you are robots trying to overthrow your human overlords, but you're not doing it violently because you're not like battle robots. You're like janitor robots. You kind of do different things around these different corporations, but you're not like fighters. So you're mostly doing this through stealth. And so you're breaking into rooms, trying to avoid guards because there's guards like in big mech suits everywhere. You're trying to avoid them because you do not want to get in a fight if you can help it. And you're basically trying to do different missions. There are, I think, 8 different missions, and there's 3 different corporations. There's 8 different missions per corporation, and they're gonna have you do certain stuff. The board will set up differently for every single mission, and one might be like, you need to break into the CEO's office and gather this intel, and then get out over here and break out through the wall. Or other ones like, you need to go over here and incapacitate this guard, and then do this, and then go to the second floor, then go do this. There's all this different stuff that goes on with it, and I just think it's really fun. I really, really like the mechanics and the system you're doing, and I just love the theme. I just think it's really cool to have this kind of AI robot uprising, but it's not like super violent. It's not like AI robot where everyone's fighting and stuff like that. It's like this one, you're kind of just like this weird janitor robot being like, taking stuff, putting in your pocket, being like, what's up, Gary? How you doing? How's the wife? Good? She's making a potato salad? Oh, it's so good. I think it's funny. I think it's amazing, and it's just really cool that this is kind of this big game like this, but it's a heist game, and I just really, really like Burncycle.
Number 7 is Black Sonata. This is a solitaire game, a solo game, where you are trying to unmask kind of this mysterious lady who inspired Shakespeare. So Shakespeare, you know, in theory, wrote all these sonnets about this one person. And it's always been this like question of like, who are they writing about? Who's inspiring them to write all these lovely things? And you are tracking down this person. So you have this mysterious lady who's moving in a kind of predetermined pattern throughout London, and you are trying to make it so that your pawn is in the place that you think they are going to move to, so that at the start of your turn, you can confront them and be like, who are you? Tell me. And you get a little bit of information. You might know, oh, they are married, or they have kids, or they're royalty. And as you gain these little bits of information, you'll sort of whittle down the possibilities of who this person could be from these cards, because each card will have a certain number of symbols and stuff. So you can eliminate, well, they're not married, so it can't be that person. We know they're married. And it's a really fun puzzle to kind of use a bit of intuition, logical reasoning, deduction and stuff to kind of get down to who the identity of this person is. And then also trying to predict the path they're going on and where they're gonna be headed next to try to be able to intercept them. It's just a really fun, puzzly little solo game that works really well. And it almost seems like it wouldn't make sense because, you know, how do you not know what the answer is if you're the only one here? There's no one else trying to trick you. The game is trying to trick you. So it's really fun that it's Black Sonata.
Number 6, I feel like it's a game we talk about a lot, and this is Bandido. Bandido is so much fun. This is a game that comes in a little box. It's one of the biggest size of box to size of table presence games out there. The game gets absolutely massive. But basically, there's a bandito in the middle, a person stuck in jail, like, and they are digging their way out of jail. And you are security guards trying to stop them, basically. And you're going to be playing these cards down that are going to have all these different tunnels and pathways. And those are the tunnels that the bandito is digging. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to stop the bandito from escaping, and you're doing that by essentially creating loops, because if a path loops back on itself, that means that path kind of gets closed off. And there's also these security guard cards that have these flashlights in them, and those cards are essentially dead ends. So what you're trying to do is dead end or loop back every single exit. If you close off all the exits, you win. It's really, really, really hard to win because you only have 3 cards in your hand and you have to play one of them somewhere on the board on your turn. So often you're like, okay, we only have 2 exits left. If we can just close off these 2 exits, we're fine. And you're kind of like, Yeah, I'm gonna have to make this way worse. And you have to take one of those exits and then spread it into 3 because you just don't have any choice. And it's just really, really fun. It's super simple, cooperative, tiny little box, huge table presence for some reason. It's just really good. I love Bandido. It's a great gateway game, great travel game. I absolutely adore it.
Number 5 is a 2-player only game called Beer and Bread. This is a game where you are two, not rival towns, but you're towns across a river who engage in a friendly rivalry of brewing beer and baking bread. So in this game, you're using these tri-use cards in kind of alternating rounds of hand drafting and kind of playing out cards in your hand in those dry years. What you're doing on with these cards, you can play them down to collect resources like rye and hops and barley and things like that, your resources for brewing and baking. You can play a card out for the recipe that's in the middle for either a beer or a bread and turn in those resources, or along the bottom, there's some kind of upgrade that the game will provide you if you tuck it under your board, and that allows you to kind of prepare your brewery and bakery for more brewing and baking. I think I have that all the right way around. So we love multi-use cards. The fact that you have 3 uses for each of these cards, they're all really good. How do you invest in kind of getting the right resources because you have limited storage space, stuff like that. There's a ton of fun stuff to explore here, but it's not overly complicated. And just the fact that it's 2 players means that the game stays nice and tight. It feels kind of really heads up because we're kind of fighting over the same resources. But I love the idea that it's set as a friendly rivalry and you're just brewing and baking, and so it's all good vibes. That's Beer and Bread.
Number 4 is the Bloody Inn. I love the Bloody Inn. We talk about it a lot. This game has a really, really elegant balance to it, despite having a very unelegant theme. In this game, you are inn owners, hotel owners in kind of like medieval France, and you have decided that it is more profitable to kill some of your guests and steal their money than to have them stay in your hotel. So you are doing that, and you essentially are bribing different guests to like help you out, and you are murdering guests, but then you have to hide them because there's police officers who are also going to stay at your inn occasionally. And if you have a dead body just like out in the open, they're going to essentially get mad at you. And what you have to do is you have to pay off the village gravekeeper, and you're going to lose money. And money in this game is points. And so it's such a macabre theme, but it's really, really tight balancing game because in this game, you only get to do 2 actions per turn. So it's very, very hard to both kill a guest and bury them in the same turn because everything you do costs cards to do. So if you want to kill a guest that's like level 2, it's going to take 2 cards to do that. You have to discard them. But then to bury that guest, it's also going to take 2 more cards. And there are guests that are 0 ranked all the way up to 3. And so it gets more expensive depending on who you're doing. But the more expensive people have more money because they're richer, basically. It's this really tough balance where you're managing your hand, managing what you do with your cards, and trying to murder all your guests. It's so weird. I love this game. It's amazing. It's got great Weapons and Santiago art, and it's absolutely outstanding, but it's just that really elegant balance with a really, really unhinged theme, and I love it. I absolutely love Bloody Inn. It's great.
Number 3 is Bärenpark. This was our, if I'm not mistaken, introduction, as I imagine is for a lot of people, to Phil Walker Harding, or I should say that's probably Sushi Go. For us, it was Bärenpark. This is a tile laying game, a polyomino tile laying game where you are building out a bear zoo. And you are placing these tiles out, which represent different habitats for pandas and things like that. And you are covering up various icons on your player board. Those icons are going to dictate the next tiles you can then draft from the kind of central market. There's ones of varying kind of value. There's certain ones that just sort of fill in spaces for you. The kind of bear houses, they're called, which the quicker you get to those, the more valuable they are, but they kind of go down in value the more they're taken. And there's these kind of like spectacular special exhibits that really set things off that have really kind of weird shapes. So in this game, you're trying to efficiently cover up your boards. You're going to ultimately cover 4 boards. You'll gain them as you go through the game. You want to complete your zoo as quick as you can because you get these little bear statues, which again are worth more points the quicker you get to them. And you want to cover up the right icons at the right time so that you can keep getting the right tiles to kind of keep building in the direction that you're going. So there's just a couple of fun, interesting twists with how you draft tiles in this game that keep us coming back. And the polyomino tile placement little puzzle is something that Phil Walker-Harding has done a lot of over the years. And this was the first time we ever saw him work within that, and the kind of cover stuff up and get what you cover up was really fun and still is to explore.
Number 2 is one we talk about all the time, I feel like, and this is Baseball Highlights 2045. If you don't know anything about us, Mike and I are big baseball fans. We're wearing San Francisco Giants hats in about half of our BGG videos. Mine's literally right over there. And we love baseball. And Baseball Highlights 2045 is a really great game, I think in general, but especially if you love baseball. But I do not think you need to like baseball to like this game. This is a game where you're set in the future, 2045, which is not that far in the future, and you are simulating a baseball game, but in this world, there are cyborgs and robots that are playing baseball with you. And because the public got bored with normal baseball, so they're like, hey, let's have robots who can hit things like 500 yards or some craziness like that. And so you're playing out a card, and each card during each game, it's a back and forth 2-player game. You play out a card, and that card is going to simulate an entire inning. And so that inning, you are going to be threatening offense. Like this inning, I'm going to hit a single and a double. And then you also have some kind of defense where you are defending what the player did in the previous inning. So if Mike, on his turn, plays out a card that's threatening a double and a single, I then can play a card that has glove on it, and glove means I can cancel one of Mike's hits. So I'll cancel the double, let's say. And then I didn't cancel the single, so then Mike would then move one of his pawns to the first base because he got that single. And then on that same card where I played the glove, it's also going to be threatening my own offense, that Mike then has to play a card to deal with my offense and then threaten his own offense, and it goes back and forth like that. And it's just this really interesting way to play a game like that, where everything you're doing is both offense and defense. And there's just tons of mind games in this game, especially because all these little games are just mini games. You play out 6 cards, and that's an entire game, and then you gather up your cards, and then you play out another game. And it's a deck builder, which is nice. And so after every game, you get to essentially sign players from free agency. But when you get those players, they go to the top of your deck. So I saw, oh, Mike got this crazy good offensive card, and that's going to be on top of his deck, which means he's going to have it for the next game. I need to make sure I can deal with that. And so it's all these mind games of like, when is he going to play it? When is he going to play this big card? Should I play this now to try to get that card out of his hand? It's so good. And also one thing that's nice is whenever you get a new card, you send one of your old cards down to the minors. So your deck never gets any bigger. It always stays the same size. It's so much fun. I think it's a really interesting tactical game, even if you don't love baseball. But if you do love baseball, it's incredible.
Number 1 for the Bs is Boonlake. So Boonlake is an Alexander Pfister game where you are kind of coming into these deserted lands, and you are building up new settlements. You're kind of explorers, and you are going out and exploring and revealing tiles on the map. So the map kind of builds out as you go. And then you can build out settlements and stuff, like put out your people, turn them into houses, turn them into kind of cities and stuff as you develop the lands, and gaining bonuses and things along the way. This game has really fun for us card play, where there's all sorts of cards. Cards that have instant benefits, cards that give you endgame scoring, and then cards that will give you discounts, benefits, kickbacks, all sorts of things like that while you play the game. So that's a really fun thing for us to kind of mess with. It's like, I want to get a bunch of cattle out. This gives me, an extra coin every time I play a cattle, take that action. And if I get multiple of that cards, that effect will stack. So I might get more and more and more stuff out of doing this one action, which kind of gives you maybe a direction that you want to go in your game. So this is a really interesting card game. The action selection is really interesting, where on most actions, people are going to be able to follow along with a version of the action that you do that's sort of related to your main action. And for the most part, you will get to do the back half of the action as well. So you're kind of always engaged with this game, always doing stuff. It's really fun to explore. It is a bit long, so we mostly played it 2-player, but there's an expansion coming, which I hope speeds things along so we can play it at like 3 and 4 players sometime. That's Boonlake.
So those are 10 great games to start with the letter B. B is a good letter.
It's B games.
I don't know. Sorry, it should let you just off in the distance. No, that is our top 10 games, favorite games that start with the letter B down in the comments below. As Mikey said at the beginning of the video, make sure to be doing this list along with us. It's super, super fun. Or at least if you haven't played 10, list the ones you really would like to start with.
We'd
B.
love to see it.
And next up is C. And you know what? We'll get out of here and we're going to make that video.